Good evening. My name is Vivian Hatting with
Angela Valerie, and today we have a guest with us.
Thank you very much for hosting me here today. My name is C.M Lusweti from CS Academics Moi University. Thank you.
Welcome.
Every day is a day to know people better, and today with us we have the academic secretary. Welcome.
The CS. Now tell us about the person behind the big name.
Thank you. So Lusweti is just a simple man. I'm actually a fourth year student taking information sciences here at Moi University. I began my work as academic secretary in the year 2025. That was in March. I took after former CS, that was Ignatius Riziki. I've served as the 37th Muso academic secretary, and I've lived to do so many things. Now, a small background about myself or who Lusweti is. I'm just a simple person who is driven by three things. Number one is writing, number two is finance, and the third is governance. Those are the three simplest things that can define who Lusweti is in simple terms.
Lusweti, you say. So tell us more about your background and the inspiration that you had in becoming a student leader.
Alright. I was born in Trans Nzoia County, a place called Kitale. I believe most of you are familiar with Kitale town.
Yeah.
I was the firstborn in my family, and I grew in a very humble background with my father serving as an ordinary man who was initially beginning as a farmer until when he got promoted to now serving the Ministry of Interior and Immigration Services. I have a sister. I have two sisters actually. One is older than me. Actually, she is my half sister, and then I have my small sister who is currently in third year right now, in Form 3 right now. Sorry. Back at home, we didn't have a lot. We were just normal citizens, normal law-abiding citizens who were living at their rural homestead. Actually, it's a place called Mailisaba. That's the specific place where I come from, Kitale. And we grew up not having so much, but having the beauty of family and having each other, the company of each other. I studied at a school called St. Bakita Junior. That was when I began my primary studies. That's the place where I took my KCPE. I did my KCPE examinations from that school. I later on joined Chisamisi Boys High School, which is found in Bungoma. That's when I did my KCSE examination. And then that's when I joined my university. But something small about my background is I really appreciate my family because they've done so much in shaping me to be the man that I am. My father is equally a man who is into politics and leadership. I believe I took a lot of inspiration from him because he's also been vying for several positions. I think there's one time he stood for an MCA position back at our home. The ward is called Sitatunga Ward. And throughout the journey I was with him, actually at that point I was still in my high school. I was doing my Form 4 that time. But I saw the way he used to be campaigning. Actually, he eventually stepped aside and supported somebody else. But I learned a few things from his leadership. Now, the biggest thing that inspired me to be a leader is I felt like being a leader, you can be able to shape whatever is happening in society. Judging from the current type of leaders that we've been having since independence, we've seen that Kenya is not at the place that it should be, or rather we are not where we meant to be exactly. And I believe that the leaders of the current society have a lot of impact in shaping shaping how the society should go. So what inspired me greatly is the fact that I can have a say in shaping the society. And the society begins by first of all leading myself and then being able to lead others. And I specifically chose the academic department in Moi University because we all believe as students we came here to learn. And academic is the core business as to why each and every student has come to the university. Now, I saw Moi University had a reputation of saying that students don't graduate in this Moi University. Students take more than 6 years to study a 4-year course. And I still joined this university because I believed that when I joined that Moi University, I'll change something in that university. That's the biggest thing that inspired me to go there. Now, I used to see big leaders like Babu Wino. I used to see big leaders like the current Senator Ojwang. who were people who were very eloquent, people who were so apt in their thinking, and who were so diligent in what they used to do. And these are the people who inspired me to take this line of leadership. And these are the people who have made me to be who I am today.
A lot has been said about Moi University. For example, some people have been saying that a 4-year course can go up to 6 years. As a student leader who was in office, what can you tell us about that?
Okay, that's a very wonderful question. Some few years ago, I think it's 4 years before I joined Moi University, I was heavily discouraged against coming to Moi University. And they were telling me, you should probably go to somewhere like University of Nairobi or go to Kenyatta University, because in Moi University you will not graduate on time. But I decided to go to Moi University because I felt, number one, it's closer to my home, it's just close to Transoil, and number two, I believe that the environment of Moi University is conducive for me to study. Now, as a student leader, what, like I mentioned before, what really inspired me to join this academic leadership is because I needed to change the narrative that in my university it takes 6 years to graduate a 4-year course. There are several things that we've done to ensure that this thing does not happen. Number one is effective student representation. And in effective student representation, we've taken time to analyze what are some of the factors that are causing students to take more time than what they're supposed to do. Number one, we discover that missing marks are the biggest thing that are causing students not to graduate on time. Number two, we have student laziness themselves. It's a two-way traffic. It could be either individually by the student or caused by the lecturer. And number three, we also did what are some of the countermeasures that you can take to ensure that this graduating, or rather this missing mark issue has been handled. So the first thing that we did is, number one, conducting sessions of research through questionnaires and through interviews with students. Our office was located at the student center, that is the student council office, where we used to have several students who could be visiting us, and then we could be questioning them and asking them, how do you feel about the academic landscape of my university? What are some of the things that are causing missing marks to happen? Some of the students said it's due to the overpopulated classes that they have. Some of them claimed it's due to their personal reasons. Entirely the issue was blamed at the university, that the university is the one that is causing students not to graduate on time. But it was discovered that sometimes even the students themselves don't attend classes. The students themselves don't even sign for the course, or they don't even register for the courses we are supposed to take. And so, having not registered for a course, you can't be placed, your marks can't be placed anywhere. So the first thing that we did was, number one, to ensure effectively that all students register for their courses. And those who haven't registered for their courses, we give them an extra allocation time for them to register for the courses, because we believe the ERP system allows you to be able to receive your marks once you're fully registered, because previously they didn't used to be doing that. And as you can see now in Moi University, there is a timeline for doing course registration, and this was purely because of our leadership, and we made it so that students can have a deadline to register for their courses, so then they are on the nominal roll of the university. The second thing that my leadership as academic secretary has done is the grading system of my university. Now, it took some time for students to graduate because most of them failed having supplementaries, most of them doing what most people call soup. Most people were doing the supplementaries because the grading system was a bit high for them. Initially, we were doing 75% as the A grade, but our leadership made it to 70, that is the A grade. And I believe most students were so happy about this. And the recent exams that have happened, students can now be able to score good grades and can even be able to graduate on time because they don't have, number one, supplementaries to sit for. They don't have the extra workload of revising to achieve higher grades, which are incomparable to other universities, because a university like Kenyatta University was doing 70 as per the research that we did, so that we implemented that new grading system. The third thing that our leadership has done in the for the student body is effective communication channels for the students. We have had things like WhatsApp channels, which have been introduced recently because we receive feedback from these channels. For instance, they can set up polls and ask questions. We could see our leaders getting evaluated. I believe most of you are the ones seeing the way they set polls and evaluate departments. These people act like watchdogs on us. And then if they notice any problem in the department, we could be able to gain feedback. For instance, my department, while I was doing that grading system shift, we did an interview with the students, and then we questioned them, how do you people feel about the grading system? Students were now able to communicate and get back to the student leadership. What the reason student leadership, that is 36 moving backward, 35th and also 34th, communication was not so effective. And students could not really communicate with their student leaders, and they could not be able to advocate for them. But our government has been hand on hand with students and both management, whereby we only represent what the students are saying. If the students say they're not comfortable with something, we could present the issue on the administration and they could move forward with it and reinforce it. Another third thing that we did was to ensure that graduation of the students, of the backlog students, happened. There's a time we noticed that there were 2 graduations that happened in Moi University, that is the year 2025. We did one from March, and then there was another one that was done in December. Now this was to cover the backlog. The backlog refers to this number of students who are left behind, who are not graduated in their stipulated time. For instance, if you are a stroke 22, you're supposed to graduate by last year. And if you find yourself in this current year 2026, you are a backlog student. And so the second graduation was to ensure that all these backlog students, all of them be able to get out of the university and to graduate, irrespective of whether it's on time or not, but they can be able to gain their certificates and to leave the university. So those are some of the things that we've done to ensure that Moi University has built its reputation. But overall, I would like to commend that there are several schools that have been so good in cooperation. Schools like School of Business, School of Information Sciences, School of Engineering, School of Sciences. They've been so cooperative in the sense that they usually upload their marks on time to ensure that the students can be able to get their marks fully on time.
Okay, sorry to interject you.
Yeah.
While on that, on a personal level, how do you feel while having spent that time on the seat? Do you feel like you've done whatever you needed to do within that restricted time and implemented everything you would have wished to done?
I would like to say I've done partially 3/4 of what I intended to do. Because number one, the biggest manifesto for us was the grading system, which we achieved. The second thing was the representation of the students, of which through my cabinet and the delegates of various universities, or rather various schools, we were able to liaise in unison to ensure that all the issues of various schools are being tabled together.
On the issue about the missing marks, many students have been complaining about failing to graduate in time. Can you tell us more about how you handled it well and ensured that people now have to graduate on time?
Okay, first of all, we used to do a survey, as I mentioned. We interview the students to know what is the current state of their academics. Are they having full marks? Are they having incomplete marks? Then the second thing that I did was being hand in hand with the DVCRS, that is Professor Mbongeti. And I was working hand in hand with him to ensure that all the complaints, I believe I was a frequent client in his office, several times going there to advocate for student needs and complaining heavily to ensure that students get what they're supposed to get. Now, there was this course, I wouldn't really want to mention names, but it's a course in the School of Arts where the lecturer not fully uploaded the marks as per the stipulated time. Now, lecturers usually have a stated period of uploading marks, and by that time this lecturer had not yet uploaded the marks for those courses. So the students, through their class representatives and the academic delegate, presented the issue to me, and I took it hands-on and made sure that the DVC responded to this matter. The biggest thing that we've done to ensure missing marks is handled is, number one, ensuring that all the students are registered for their units. And the second thing, those students with pending issues to be first of all identified and to be assisted. So determining the root cause of the missing mark was the biggest thing that I did. And I will heavily even require the current CS Academics to take hold from what we've done. Let them be investigating clearly what is happening and to proceed with working with the issue. Because as I mentioned earlier, the issue could be either student-centered or lecturer-centered. It's not about the university.
So do you feel like you were met with opposition along the way, or it was just a smooth journey to the top?
Yes, I was met with opposition along the way because, number one, if the issue is lecturer-centered, number one, the lecturer will be very opposite because they will try to argue so much much and say that no, this is a student matter. Yet it's the lecturer himself who was not accorded the marks. So those are some things that we had presented them, and we faced opposition in that, because we were asking, could we just have a unified, or rather a standard way that exams can be marked and marks can be uploaded across the board for all students? And so these are some of the challenges that we face, the biggest one. Lastly, on your question, there was also the issue of non-compliance and resistance of the students themselves. You know, my university had a culture of students registering courses at the end, nearly to exams. But this new model, or rather this new framework, ensure that students can now register 2 weeks to. I think there's a 2-week period, then you register for your course. So it faced a lot of opposition because most students were not used to this, and some of them were resistant. There's also an issue of ignorance also, where most people don't even, or hardly even, go to their portals to check or even register for the courses.
Back to you on what you just said. As a student, do you feel like whatever you implemented affected you on a personal level?
Yes, it affected me on a personal level. Number one, it affected me positively in the sense that seeing what I intended to do as the purpose of joining this office has been achieved. Number two, it made me realize that I have leadership and I could do things for the society in the bigger aspect.
Just to conclude, would you mind letting us know about how you managed to balance between your leadership in office and your academics?
Okay, now as an academic secretary now, the biggest expectation for you is to perform good in your studies, because you cannot represent a docket that you are performing poorly at. So what made me to be able to balance is because, number one, I was representing academic affairs, not social affairs or student hosted matters, purely on academic matters. And I was able to see progress and act on the progress. Number two, what made me focus on my studies was I was enjoying the benefits of the fruits of my labor, because the remodified grading system is on my benefit, the missing marks issue to be solved is on my benefit, and all these things. And I used to prioritize time and say, from this particular point moving forward, perhaps let's say from around 9 o'clock to probably around 11 o'clock, that's specifically for my study time, no interference from leadership matters or etc. Or I used to say from 6 o'clock to around 7, I prioritize my studies and things like that. And over the weekends also, I used to be heavily monitoring. But the biggest thing was I was representing the academic itself. I was a foundation for academic itself. So it needed me to be really committed to ensure that.
In summation, as we conclude the show, we have heard so well from our esteemed guests that all great leaders come from somewhere, as we've heard. And knowing full well that he came from a very poor background, not that poor, but from where most of us begin from, and he was able to achieve what he achieved within that time span, we're all encouraged that all great leaders begin from somewhere.
It's a pleasure for having you today, and we're hoping that the young aspiring leaders will get to learn more about from today's interview with you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to
Thank
also
you.
be here. Asante.